Have you wondered what happens after your offer is accepted? In this video, I'll go over everything that needs to be done from the time the contract is ratified, i.e. signed by both parties, and the time you sit at the closing table. You can find a checklist in the description below. What happens from offer to close is related to what type of contingencies are included in the offer. I will show you the most common ones. But first, let me explain what is contingency. If a contract is an agreement between two parties, then the contingencies can be called conditions to that agreement. Here are some typical contingencies. Financing. This contingency is usually in every standard contract. It allows the buyers to back out of the contract and get their deposit back if they're not approved for a loan. Home inspection. If the buyers are not happy with the inspection report or the repairs are above the repair limits mentioned in the contract, they can walk away from the sale. Appraisal. This is also a standard contingency. Unless this is a cash sale, and even if it's not, the buyer can cancel the contract if the home doesn't appraise at the contract price. The sale of the home of the buyer. More popular in buyer's market, this condition allows the buyer to cancel the sale if they can't sell their current home. Note that this works with private sellers only. Very few banks would agree to this contingency. Repairs. If after the home inspection some repairs are needed, a contingency could be in the contract to make sure that these repairs are completed before closing. Short sale contingency. Virtually unknown until 2008, this contingency was used very heavily during the last market crash. It makes the contract contingent upon the lender approving the sale. These contingencies are common, but any condition can be a contingency, from removing the dead cat in the yard to getting spouse or attorney approval. Contingencies either have to be removed in writing in order for the closing to occur, or they have to be self-executing, in other words, containing language that removes the contingency automatically. While contingencies are great protection, including too many, especially when multiple offer situations exist, can hurt the chances of your offer being accepted. So what happens after the contract is signed? The seller or the buyer selects the title company and orders the title. The contract should mention who picks the settlement company. To order, email a copy of the contract and contact information for all parties involved to the title company. Note that some states require real estate lawyers to be involved. Next comes mortgage application. In the real estate contract, there is a time frame for the buyers to apply for a mortgage. This process should be started as soon as possible to avoid any delays and the possibility to have to ask for extensions. If you're the buyer, have your lender ready and apply immediately after the contract is signed. Home inspection. This contingency is usually a part of every real estate contract. Here are the things you should know as a buyer or a buyer's agent. What is the deadline to perform an inspection? What is the deadline to report any defects to the warranted items? What are warranted items? These are usually listed in the contract. These are items that the seller says are in working conditions. Does the contract include self-executing clauses? Here is an example. Unless the buyer timely reports such defects, the buyer shall be deemed to have waived seller warranties as to defects reported. This is an example of self-executing clause. If the self-executing clause is not included, the contingency should be removed in writing, which can be done by addendum or changing the contract provision, initialing it, and writing condition accepted as satisfactory. What if defects of the warranted items are found? Within the time frame specified in the contract, Send the listing agent or the seller, if represented, a list of all defects found and the inspection report addressing these items. If your contract is as is, you can walk away from the sale or renegotiate the price. Appraisal. The appraisal is ordered by the lender, and if you're not financing the property, an appraisal is not required. If the property doesn't appraise at the contract price, then this contingency gives you an option to walk away from the contract. Next is the survey. The title company orders the survey when instructed by the lender. Next, the buyer should pick and pay for hazard insurance, also called home insurance. If the seller is contributing towards the buyer's closing cost and prepaids, then the seller will pay for it at closing. And the last thing on your list is the walkthrough. The walkthrough is the final inspection of the property. It's usually done on the day of closing, and the reason for the final walkthrough is to check if the house is in the same condition as when the buyer agreed to buy it, and the inspection items have been taken care of. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, email me. My email is in the About Us section, or attend one of our live streams every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you found this video helpful, please like it.